Okay, I'm once again coming to you from atop the Tower of Power, this time looking north over the prairie. And our topic for today is command forms, Befehlsformen. In English, command is pretty simple. It's the same for all the verbs, basically. Go, stay, it's eat. It's essentially the infinitive without the to. In German, it's a little more complicated. In German, there are three, arguably four forms of the command. Three for sure, and I will touch upon the fourth one, or I'll explain the fourth one to you at the end of this presentation. Now, why are there so many command forms? Well, when you're giving a command, you're speaking to somebody. And in German, you can speak to somebody using the du form. You could speak to one or more somebodies using the Sie form, whether it's singular or plural. The Sie form is always the same, so it doesn't matter. Just like in English, the command form, if I can say to you, go do your homework, I could be talking to you or you and your sibling. The Sie form is the second command form in German. And the third one is the plural form of du, ihr. If I actually said to you and your siblings, go do your homework, I would not use the Sie form. I would use the plural form of du, the ihr form, and that's a separate command form. And then finally there's the inclusive command, which I said I'll explain at the end. Okay, so how do you build or form the command forms in German? Actually, it's not too hard. The most complicated one is probably the one used the most, and that's the du form. Okay? But it's not all like that. I mean, give this a look. It's the du form of the verb. It's the du form of the verb minus the st ending. And no pronoun, just like in English. Do your homework. I don't say, you do your homework. I could, but you could do that in German too, but that's not part of the command form. All right. So, if I took the verb spielen, to play, and I wanted to tell somebody with whom I am addressing, or whom I am addressing in the du form, I would say spiel Ball, play ball. Or how about with a separable prefix? How does that work? Well, the stem of the verb comes first, prefix goes at the end, just like it does in a regular sentence. And so mitgehen, to go along, if I was going to go with them, join them, I would say geh mit. That's it. Geh mit. Gehen, drop the en, add the st, gehst, drop the st, because you go to the du form and drop the st, and you're left with gay. And here's another one with a separable prefix, just so that you see it again. Zuhören, listen up. Hör zu. Zuhören, separate the prefix from the stem, put the prefix at the end, go to the du form hörst, drop the st, and you got hör zu. And just one more example. Bleiben, stay. Go to the du form, st, bleibst, drop the st, you have bleib hier, stay here. Now if I'm in your shoes, I'm thinking, what do you mean go to the du form, drop the st? What's all of this stuff? What it is the infinitive minus the en. The problem with that is it's wrong. It's not the infinitive minus the en. It's the du form minus the st. Because if you think about it, if you think it's the infinitive minus the en, you're forgetting about irregular verbs. So let's look and see how it works. You go to the du form. Let's take a couple of these verbs. Let's try lesen. Now lesen is an E to IE verb, the verb to read, right? Is an E to IE verb. And it's an irregular verb. The stem vowel E changes to IE in the du form. Lies. Now, the verb stem ended in S, so for my du form, all I added was a T. So that's all I drop, and I have my command, lies, read. That's it. Check another example, essen. Once again, first of all, it's irregular. The E changes to an I in the do and er form. So the do and air form, because in the do form I added only a T because the stem ended in S, I have do ist, you eat or you are eating. So what do I have to drop? Well, what I added was the T, so that's what I drop. Is, eat. What do I have here? What are we eating? Nothing. Is. Sprechen, to speak. An E to I verb. The do form is sprichst, because the stem vowel E changed to I to give me sprichst in the do form. Drop the do ending, and I'm left with sprich, talk. Now, there is an exception to that. If in the do form and in the air form, right, if it's an irregular verb, which meant that you had to add an umlaut in the do form that was not in the infinitive, you do not carry that umlaut over into the do form of the command. So that's kind of a little bit of, it's part of the rule, but in a way a little bit of an exception of the rule, or to the rule. So the verb schlafen, to sleep, the do form is schläfst. I added that umlaut over here that wasn't in the infinitive. So what I have to do is drop that umlaut in the command. So I drop the umlaut and the ST, and I'm left with schlaf. Schlaf gut, sleep well. And one more example of the same thing, the verb fahren, a very common verb, very important verb in German. Fahren, du fährst. I added that umlaut in the do form. In the command, I have to drop that do ending and the umlaut that I added. So I have fahr langsam, drive slowly. Right? Is that clear? That's how you form the do forms of the commands, and that's the most important form and the most difficult. These others will go like this. Just very quick explanations because there's nothing to it. The Z form is the Z form. It's the exact same thing as a question. So the only difference is the punctuation at the end, and of course when you're speaking, your tone of voice. So take the Z form of the verb essen. If I want to say, are you going to eat that fruit? Or do you eat the fruit? Essen Sie das Obst? I make it a command by saying, Essen Sie das Obst? I leave the Z in there. All right? And if I wanted to say, drive slowly to somebody whom I'm addressing in the Z form, it'd be the same as the question. Fahren Sie langsam? Do you drive slowly? Fahren Sie langsam? Drive slowly. What could be easier? The ear form, you go to the ear form of the verb. It's the exact same form, but you drop the ear. You don't use the word for you, just like in an English command. Okay? So, spielen, the ear form, you guys play, is spielt. Ihr spielt. So, the command is spielt. So if I wanted to tell a couple of people, play tennis, come on, go play tennis. Spielt tennis. That's it. And finally is that inclusive command. And the inclusive command is when the speaker is including himself in the command. In English it's that, let's. We could do it that way in German too, but really the way to do that is simply the wir form in the form of a question. Gehen wir tanzen? Are we going dancing? But if I wanted to make it a suggestion, I just change the tone of my voice and I say, gehen wir tanzen? Let's go dancing. And so what do I have here? Bleiben wir hier. Let's stay here. Bleiben wir hier? Are we staying here? Bleiben wir hier. Let's stay here. Okay? So that should do it for us today from atop the Tower of Power looking north over the prairie.